It's not hard at all for me to remember Ashford. I close my eyes and am transported back in time to one particular busy Saturday morning at my small town's main street. It was a day filled with the hustle and bustle of people going about their day, and the smells of freshly baked bread and coffee from the local bakery. The 50s seem so long ago at times, but on the other hand, sometimes they don't. I was a child then, and I remember the excitement I felt as I walked down the street, hand in hand with my father. He had taken me to the Saturday morning market where we would buy fresh produce and other goods from the local farmers and artisans. The market was always bustling with activity, and I loved to watch the vendors haggling with customers and the farmers selling their produce. The market on that busy Saturday morning was a feast for the senses. As I walked through the rows of stalls, I could see and smell the fresh produce, colorful flowers, and artisanal crafts. The vendors had set up colorful umbrellas to protect their wares from the sun, and the air was filled with the sounds of friendly negotiations and laughter. The farmers had brought their harvest from the fields, and the smells of freshly picked fruit and vegetables were mixed with the aroma of freshly baked bread and pastries. The stands were overflowing with piles of ripe tomatoes, juicy peaches, and fragrant herbs. I remember the sweet, earthy smell of the freshly dug potatoes, and the bright colors of the peppers and squash. There were also handmade crafts and trinkets for sale, such as pottery, jewelry, and wood carvings. I was fascinated by the intricate designs and the skill it must have taken to make them. One of the stalls had a large display of honey and beeswax candles. The honey was in large jars, and the candles were in all different shapes and sizes. I could smell the sweet honey and the warm, comforting scent of the beeswax. As we walked around the market, my father and I would stop and chat with the vendors. They would tell us about their farms, their families, and their products. They were proud of their hard work, and it showed in the quality of their goods. The market was a place where people came together to celebrate the abundance of the land and the hard work of the people who tended it. It was a vibrant and lively place, and I loved every minute of it. As we made our way down the street, I remember the vibrant colors of the storefronts, the sound of the church bells ringing in the distance, and the warm sunshine on my face. My father and I would stop and chat with neighbors and shopkeepers, and I loved to listen to their stories about the town's history and the people who had lived there before us. We would make our way to the local hardware store, where my father would pick up supplies for his latest DIY project, and I would marvel at the endless rows of tools and gadgets. The store owner, Mr. Johnson, would always greet us with a warm smile and offer me a piece of candy from the jar on the counter. The hardware store was a treasure trove of tools, gadgets, and supplies. It was a small, cramped space, but it was filled to the brim with everything a handyman could need. The shelves were lined with rows of shiny new hammers, saws, and drills, and the walls were covered with racks of nails, screws, and bolts in all sizes. The store had a distinct smell of freshly cut wood and metal, mixed with the scent of oil and lubricants. There was a large workbench in the center of the store, where the store owner, Mr. Johnson, would often be found tinkering with some project or another. He was a friendly, gray-haired man with a kind smile and a twinkle in his eye. He would always greet us with a warm welcome, and ask my father how his latest project was going. The store also had a section for gardening tools, with rows of rakes, shovels, and pruning shears. I remember how I used to love the sound of the metal blades clinking against each other when my father would pick them up. There was a small section for household supplies, where you could find everything from light bulbs to cleaning products. It was a convenient place to pick up any last-minute items that you might need for your home. One of my favorite parts of the hardware store was the display of model airplanes and cars. They were all perfectly crafted and beautifully painted, and I remember how I used to gaze at them in wonder. The hardware store was a place where my father and I would spend hours looking at all the different tools and supplies. It was a magical place where anything seemed possible, and I loved to imagine all the projects we could do together. After our shopping was done, we would make our way to the town square, where a local band would be playing music, and families would be sitting on picnic blankets, enjoying the warm weather and the lively atmosphere. My father would buy us a couple of ice cream cones, and we would sit and watch the people go by, listening to the music and feeling the warmth of the sun on our skin. The band that was playing in the town square on that sunny Saturday morning was a group of talented musicians who brought life to the bustling atmosphere. They were a local band, and they had set up a small stage under a large tree. As we walked towards the town square, the sound of music could be heard from blocks away. As we got closer, I could see the band members, dressed in their brightly colored shirts, tapping their feet to the rhythm of the music. The band consisted of a guitarist, a drummer, a saxophonist, and a singer. They played a variety of tunes, from upbeat jazz to classic rock and roll. The saxophonist would often break out into an impromptu solo, and the drummer would keep the beat with his steady rhythm. The singer had a soulful voice that would fill the square, and people would stop and listen as she sang. I remember how I would get lost in the music, feeling the beat of the drums in my chest and the melody in my heart. The band had a small crowd gathered around them, with people of all ages tapping their feet and swaying to the music. Families had set up picnic blankets on the grass, and children were playing and dancing to the beat. The music brought a sense of joy and togetherness to the town, and it was a reminder that despite our differences, we could all come together and enjoy the simple pleasures in life. As the music faded away, and the band packed up their instruments, I felt a sense of gratitude for the memories I had made that day. The music had brought us together, and it was a reminder of the beauty and joy that could be found in even the smallest of moments. As I made my way back home from the busy Saturday morning on Main Street, I felt a sense of contentment wash over me. I was excited to share all the stories and experiences from my day with my family. As I approached my house, I could see my grandparents, my mother, and my siblings sitting on the porch, sipping lemonade and chatting. The sound of their laughter and the clinking of ice cubes in their glasses was music to my ears. I walked up to the porch and gave them all hugs, anxious to tell them about the exciting things I had seen and done that day. My younger siblings were fascinated by the stories of the market and the hardware store, and my parents were proud of the confidence I had gained from exploring on my own. As the sun began to set, we all settled into the comfortable rhythm of family time. My siblings and I ran around the yard, chasing lightning bugs and giggling as we caught them in our hands. My parents sat on the porch, watching us with fondness and joy. They reminisced about their own childhoods, telling us stories about how they used to catch lightning bugs with their siblings. As the night grew darker, we all sat together on the porch, looking up at the stars and sharing stories. It was a simple moment, but it was filled with love and laughter. It was a reminder of the importance of family and the joy that could be found in the simplest of pleasures. As we said our good nights and went to bed, I fell asleep with a smile on my face, knowing that I was lucky to have such a wonderful family and to be a part of such a loving community. Looking back on that day now, I realize how lucky I was to have experienced such a vibrant and close-knit community. Those memories of my childhood and that bustling Saturday morning still bring a smile to my face and a warmth to my heart. I am grateful for those experiences and the people who shared them with me.